All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks and Game Time. It is Brian Hines back with Alex Barth. We are a few days removed from being back at the Gillette Stadium practice fields for a rookie minicamp. We'll talk about what we saw about that today. We had some roster signings. We have a new executive vice president of player personnel we can talk about. And then I'm sure we're going to yell about the Bruins at some point during this, but we will get you off as well before the Celtics tip off. So a lot to talk to, so we'll get right into it with rookie minicamp. Again, it was Saturday, day 2 of rookie minicamp. They opened it up to the press, so we were there. About an hour session, shorts, t-shirts, no contact allowed. Very low key, as you probably would expect. It was mostly positional drill work. They did get a little like competitive 7-on-7 period at the end, but again, it was no contact, none of that allowed. So, but we got to see these prospects for the first time, right? It was the 8
Right.
draftees. It was like about 20 undrafted free agent invites, and then the I think 7 or 8, or what did their UDFA class end up at this point? I think it's
I guess after today's signings, it's 13 because it was 9
13.
going in. Yeah, now it's 13.
So there was a good amount of prospects out there, or rookies
Yeah.
at this point now. So uh, I mean, I guess we could start right with the quarterbacks, Drake May and Joe Milton. We've heard so much about those guys' arm and their arm strength, and that stood out immediately on the practice fields. Even though they weren't pushing the ball very far downfield, they were doing a lot of short, quick game work. But like those arms are live, and it's a lot different than what they've obviously had here in the past the last few years.
Yeah, it's just apparent. It's very clear the way the ball pops out of their hands. It's different. It's different. And this isn't necessarily a distance thing in terms of arm strength. It's the RPMs, the MPH on the ball. Like they can reach different parts of the field with zip than Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi can. So there's going to be certain route combinations, certain parts of the field that are accessible to them that just haven't been for the past couple of years. You saw they were throwing some deep corners was really the one route the route that I think fits this the best. They did a whole period of just throwing deep corners, and it's the ball on the line 25, 30, 35 yards down the field outside the numbers to the receiver. That's not a throw they could make consistently, in the past. And, will it be consistent now? Obviously, with Joe Milton, there's questions about that. With Drake May, they're going to work on his accuracy. But in terms of just getting it there, you're not going to have ducks going down the field. Like you're going to have balls on a rope going down the field. Now the question becomes, can they consistently, put it on the receivers?
Yeah. Yeah, there was one, it was May. I think it was during the 7-on-7. I forget the receiver, but it's just like a little 10-yard curl hitch route outside the numbers, but he like drove that ball on a line, and I was standing next to Taylor. I'm like, that's a pass that their old quarterbacks might not even attempt, and if it does, it probably is going to get picked off and maybe pick six the other way, because the coverage was close, the guy was right there, but it was just the arm strength to drive it outside the numbers. And I think it was Javon Baker, it might have been, but he was able to make kind of a contested catch there. So plenty of power. We did see, like, you saw some of that maybe spray accuracy issues, which you kind of expect. We saw that with
Right.
coming from college, especially in the quick game. But again, like, and we can transition this kind of into Polk and Baker. Like, these guys have big catch radiuses and really good hands, and you saw them kind of be that accuracy eraser at times. Going up and catching some of those passes outside the frame. So what'd you see from the receivers? First look at them, got to see how they move in person as well there.
I think the big thing that stands out for me with the receivers is Jalen Polk moves so much smoother than I expected. He's a bigger guy, 6'1", 203, but his ability to get in and out of breaks, he does a receiver that's much smaller. And why that holds value is you kind of project him forward, you project him into a role in this offense, and he's a guy I think you're going to want to have a rather diverse route tree. So he's going to have to adapt and learn more routes. Being able to get in and out of cuts and cut easily and move quickly is part of what makes a good route runner. So that has to transition into the route tree. And that's something we'll learn when we get to camp in the preseason. But this was kind of okay, there are elements there that lead you to believe he has the tools to make that jump. He actually has to make it. That's another story, and that's not what this weekend was for. Gerard Mayo even said it was kind of introductory in the sense that, yes, they studied these guys on tape. Yes, they meet with them, but you can only do so much in a 4-month span, right? And get these guys on the field, work with them hands-on. You don't have the kind of there are obviously significant restrictions. The NFL puts a ton of restrictions on all these off-season practices, but you don't have the kind of restrictions you have at a pro day or even a pre-draft workout. So you see the way he moves. He's got. I keep going back to Jacoby Myers. Like I see a ton of similarities to where Jacoby Myers was as a rookie. And now we see, can they take the next steps there? As for Javon Baker, the one thing that stood out to me is he go out and snatch the ball. That's what he does. There's some other things like he's a little too aggressive in his route running. He's a little too impatient, but strong hands, good hands catcher. Those are the kind of guys that tend to succeed in New England, especially when it gets cold, when it gets wet. Like you got to be able to catch the ball away from your body and you got to be able to secure it outside of your frame. And Baker looks like the kind of guy who can do that.
Yep. The other thing with them just kind of off the field, the first thing I noticed with Polk was before practice even starts, he runs up the stairs, right? He's jumping. I'm like, is Kendrick Bourne here right now? Like, what's going on? But, really high energy guy, like a good leader. It seems like him and Baker were really close, on the field. Polk and Drake May too, they yelling at each other like this is the guy right here as they leave. We saw him at the Bruins game obviously last night. Like, and we can talk about the linemen too soon. Like Caden Wallace and Layden Robinson said they've been inseparable in the facility. So it seems like these guys are really like gelling well together off the field. We talked about that, during draft week, is they really seem to target these kind of high character guys who are captains, guys who are leaders in college. And you're kind of seeing that translate now on the field. And it sounds like it's translating in the locker room and in the meeting rooms as well. So, I know we want to talk about on the field, but there's not much to take, from an hour rookie mini camp. So it's nice to see kind of these other things that are translating off the field as well.
Yeah. Just seeing the way these guys seem to gel, I think is encouraging because this is not just a rookie class. This is who you're looking at to be the core of the, initial Eliot Wolf, Gerard Mayo teams. These are supposed to be cornerstone players. So the fact that they seem to be getting along early is obviously encouraging.
Yep. Mention the offensive lineman, though. We saw, as we expected, Caden Wallace right there at left tackle. They told us literally an hour after they drafted him that was the plan, to switch him from left tackle, or from right tackle to left tackle, excuse me. He was very confident after about it. He's like, yeah, I practice it all the time at Penn State. I played left tackle in high school. So he seems pretty... he's not worried about making the switch there, but he was left tackle. Layden Robinson, who actually played 100% of his college snaps at right guard, was next to Caden Wallace at left guard. So maybe setting the stage there for a training camp competition with Cole Strange at that left spot. But maybe two rookies there are manning the left side there of the offensive line come week one.
Well, the left side is where it is to be one. Like, I think on the right side, Mike Onwenu City, so you're locking that in, obviously David Andrews. So the left side is where the spots are to be one, and that seems to be where they're getting these guys ready to go. I still have my reservations about Caden Wallace at left tackle, as I do with Chuks Okorafor, as I do with any right tackle trying to make that switch. I actually think we need to talk about Calvin Anderson more in that position battle. But if you're going to do it, you got to start getting them ready as soon as possible, and it seems like that's the plan right now. So they're not screwing around with this. It's not we're going to develop as a swing tackle that can hopefully play left. It seems like the plan is for him to compete at left tackle, and his focus in the lead up to the season here is going to be at left tackle.
Did it make you feel any better, like how confident he was in the switch, or is it still like I'm with you?
Feel better.
I have my reservations still, like, because you just don't know how it's going to look flipping from the right side to the left side. But he like, again, he said he did it all in high school. He practiced it at Penn State, which I think Eliot Wolf told us that too after the draft. So just does the confidence there, does that raise, I don't know, just make you feel a little bit better?
I mean, like, look, I'm not gonna say it makes me feel worse, but like, go out and do it. It's that kind of thing. Like, a lot of guys talk a big game about what they're going to do. And I'm not saying that he's being too cocky or anything. Like, he said all the right things, and I have no, like, good for him. but it's still got to translate. It doesn't matter if it doesn't translate. There's been a lot of players that said the right things and came out and just never made it work.
Didn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Let's see other draftees. Jaheim Bell. Anything from him?
Nothing to really take away other than he seems to be right in that core with May, Polk, and Baker in terms of like just being involved in the whole chemistry building of it. I'm so excited for him. And look, we only really saw him used as a traditional tight end. They didn't do a ton of formational stuff anyway. It was mostly just individual. The couple formational things we saw, he was playing traditional tight end, but this was very basic technique stuff. I don't think anything they did with the receivers is super indicative of use, especially for a guy like Bell, who's probably going to have a role that's a little deeper in the playbook. Interesting guy to talk to, though. Fun guy to talk to. He's going to be interesting as the year goes on. Assuming he makes the team. Said he didn't know Gerard Mayo was the head coach when he visited because he thought he was one of the players. Just the way he was acting, and then he said that anything under 60, he's in long sleeves and sweatpants because he's from Florida. So he's in for a bit of a rude awakening.
He got a good taste of the New England weather Saturday. It was like the sun was out and you're sweating, and then the clouds come and you're freezing and the wind picked up. But there were only, I was just looking quick at I found the roster. There were only 3 tight ends there total, so not much to look at from like a positional point of view. The one thing that got me kind of excited was him. There was one point Drake May was like a play action bootleg, and they just ran Bell on like kind of a skinny, shallow crosser, and he hit him. And it was just like that's the role you kind of project him in, where you get him the ball, you get him moving, you get him the ball, and then you let kind of his yards after the catch skills take over. So that was the one kind of thing from Bell that stood out. I'm like that's how we kind of projected him to be used. Like I could see that kind of taking shape when he gets more of a concrete role throughout training camp. But Marcellus Dial, it was tough to look into the defensive guys really throughout the day with no contact. But anything from him or like anyone else, kind of, we can talk about the guys they signed too, but anyone else like just kind of stand out to you at all throughout the day?
I was a little bummed that Zuri Henry wasn't there. The only rookie they have with actual left tackle experience, a kid out of UTEP, and then he was the only absence. I mean, I watched Deshaun Fenwick a little bit. Thought, not in pads. He moved well for a guy his size. I'm not going to tell you he's Dion Lewis. But I still think that he's, they didn't need to do running back drills. They really didn't. That's not something they need to focus on, and they did. So I think they're getting him ready, gearing him up, because I do think he's going to compete with Kevin Harris.
Yep. Unfortunately, they didn't show us the kickers. They were down on the bottom field, so we didn't get a look at them. We can talk about, they signed 4 guys today. We had a little movement in the running back room. They released Keshawn Vaughn, who they claimed off waivers, I believe, at the end of last year. So he's been around, and they signed Terrell Jennings, who was at Florida A&M, I believe, 6 foot, 217 pounder. Played 13 games last year, 120 rushing attempts for 704 yards, 10 touchdowns. 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball, in Jay Person, a linebacker, and Jotham Russell, an Australian defensive end, who they got an international pathway program exemption for him, so he doesn't count against the 90-man roster. Something they've had before with, Jakob Johnson. They've had these guys in, so get the Australian defensive end in there, and then they added a guard too, and Ryan Johnson, 6'2", 306 pound guard there. So 4 of these kind of rookie minicamp tryout guys land deals here. I don't know. I mean, are you expecting anything out of them? It'll be fun to see this, Australian defensive end go, but just kind of some depth at a few spots there.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. We'll see. I don't know. In there, most of them are at positions where the Patriots have a ton of depth. So, we'll see. But I think the original UDFA is probably a stronger case.
Yep. Former Australian rugby player who converted to defensive end, 6'4", 239.
Where does he 6'4", 239? I had him on here at. Oh no, I'm thinking of the other guy they signed.
Person.
Yeah, he's a little smaller. I just realized I'm holding my paper up in front of the camera. Like,
I got mine.
No, I know, but I'm holding it up here, like I totally forgetting I'm on camera. Just like, where is it?
We could just hold both of them up.
Yeah, that's good. That's good podcasting right there. Person is 6'2", 237. Yes, he's a little smaller.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll see some depth there, but anything else? Rookie minicamp recap.
I think that the one other notable thing is just the way the coaching staff worked, and it does seem like it's Alex Van Pelt and Drake May, and that's the pairing. And TC McCartney worked a little bit with May, a little bit with Joe Milton. You saw Evan Rothstein over with the quarterbacks, but I think he was just kind of observing more than anything else. And Ben McAdoo was over there as well, but again, I think there was one point we saw him working with Milton, but it does seem like Alex Van Pelt, Drake May, those two are working together. And then everybody else is doing their things on top of that. But they're having Van Pelt. And Mayo told us Van Pelt would be the lead man in terms of getting Drake May ready. And it looked like that when we got out on the field.
Yep. Yeah, they even posted that picture of all the rookies together after the practice. And it's literally like Drake May and Alex Van Pelt is right over his shoulder in his ear. So just kind of fitting how that worked out. But yeah, that was rookie minicamp recap. It is in the books. They finished up Sunday, so we'll get our next look at them on when OTAs begin next week. I think a week from today, right? It starts Monday the 20th, and I think we'll be there as well. So that's the next time we'll see the rookie class in live action. But let's take a very quick break. We'll hear from our friends over at Prize Picks, and then we will touch on a few other bits of Patriots news from the last few days.
Prize Picks is America's number one fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take to the game and take it to a new level during basketball's postseason. Testing your skills on Prize Picks this basketball season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. So check it out, Prize Picks. It's the way to go. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
All right, so we have a schedule coming up on Wednesday release, but before we very quickly talk about that, we do have our executive vice president of player personnel. Yep. That search wrapped up on Saturday, and Eliot Wolf, as we kind of all expected, officially got the job there. Again, we all saw that coming, but it was just kind of good to see that be official and that confirmed with Wolf there.
Yeah, again, they got it right. They did what they needed to do. You give him the power to, and I'm not saying they were wrong, but you give him the power to put together the roster, spend all the money he spent, use the 3rd overall draft pick. That's your guy. That's your guy. That's just, they invested too much to then suddenly turn the keys over to somebody else who might have a different vision.
Yep. That's where it seemed to be headed, but and should have been headed after, like you said, he had the keys to the car there throughout the whole offseason. But we have our schedule. It is coming Wednesday, officially announced Wednesday, I believe 8 p.m. Eastern time is when they announce it, but we'll get our leaks and rumors and everything all throughout the day, a fun day. But the only concrete thing, or not, I guess not concrete, but Mike Reese reported that the Philadelphia Eagles are coming to the preseason in week 2, and it will have a joint practice, just one joint practice session with them. But outside of that, what are you kind of looking at for the schedule coming out here?
I think you're looking really for 2 things, and they both relate to Drake May. And, when's he going to start? Right? I should say 3 things. the bye week, the Thursday night game, the West Coast road trip, because you want to find, if he doesn't start the season week 1, you want to find a logical spot for him to take over. And the bye week helps. You get extra time to prepare him. Coming off the Thursday night game, it's a little more extra time. So something like that. And do they want to be getting him ready out in the West Coast at another facility where maybe they don't have everything they'd usually have? So we did this in 2021 with Mac Jones. It ended up being a fool's errand, but I think we'll do it again where we'll get the schedule and, all right, here's the bye. Here's the Thursday night game. Maybe there's another with the Monday night game. You get an extra day or something like that. I know there's a lot of speculation they'll go to London as well. I don't know that you want him making his first start in London. You look at the opponents. When San Francisco, I don't think you want him making his first start against that defense. And that will probably be what most of the schedule reaction is where does it make the most sense if Drake May doesn't start week 1 to give him the keys?
Is there an ideal spot for you? Like, assuming he doesn't earn the job right out of camp week 1, is there like an ideal time frame where you're like,
well, Ernie Adams always says the best bye week is week 10. And who am I to doubt Ernie Adams on something like that? So I always look for the bye week. I think anything really between like 8 and 10 is kind of in that sweet spot. So, you don't want like a week 4 bye. You don't want 2021. We were worried because their bye week was like week 13. It was the latest. Not only was it the latest bye week that year, it was the latest the NFL had ever put in a bye week. It was ridiculous. And then their Thursday night game was super late too. So it was like, no, they're just going to have to do this on a regular week, except obviously they didn't. So yeah, I think probably in the middle of the season. And then what I would hope is you have the Thursday night game in October, let's say like early October, right? So call it week 4, 5, 6, something like that. And that's your first chance to make the switch. And then if you don't make it, then throw the bye week 8, 9, 10. And then there's your second chance. I think if you get to Halloween and he's still not starting, like, 1, what's gone wrong? 2, at that point, there should be enough going on behind the scenes that you don't need the extra lead up time. If it's going to be early on, like a month in, yeah, it might help. As Bill Belichick used to always say, there's no such things as rookies once you get past Thanksgiving. So, can they play a Thanksgiving game this year? No, they don't play Detroit or Dallas. I guess they could get the late one, but I always look for that. The week 12 bye week is the one I want. Because that's
Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, because it's Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. I just want to eat myself into a coma. It's tough to do that when I got to go to work on Friday and Sunday. I know it's a tough life. I got to go watch football. But the other thing is, I've always wanted to go to the Iron Bowl. I can't go if the Patriots have a game. So a couple years ago, they played on Thursday, but for other reasons, I couldn't go. That sucked. So all I've ever wanted is a week 12 bye. We'll see if this is the year, knock on wood. Love week 12, favorite week of the year, which is, it's a great, you get all the Thanksgiving football, which is great. You get a college football rivalry weekend. I don't want to be working that week. I'm perfectly fine if the Patriots are not a part of that, or at the very least, if they play on Thursday.
Or we could get like the Wednesday Christmas game. Isn't that a thing this year?
Hell no. Out on that. One, I don't think the Patriots at the level that they're going to put on that, but so far out on that.
That's
that's what it is.
Does it have to be? Well, that's late isn't that like week 14 or 15? Because it would be, a month after week 12, which is Thanksgiving. So like week 15, 16. So that they're not even going to be able to have teams like come off a bye week and do that, right? It's just going to be.
I have no idea what that's going to look like because it shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't.
So we're just saying they're making it up as they go, I think.
And it's on Netflix too. So
it's on Netflix. Get out of here. Stop. Sunday football, 3 networks, 1 game on Monday, maybe 1 game on Thursday. It's too much. They're watering down the product. I hate it. It's really annoying. And I know it sounds stupid. I think it's ultimately bad for the game. I really do.
I mean, all the players just come out and say, even the Thursday night games, they say like, this sucks.
So when they first started doing Thursday, it was after Thanksgiving. Like Thanksgiving was the first week of Thursday night football. And it was weeks 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, because the time was only 17 weeks. That was perfect. Because at that point in the year, you're already kind of in a rhythm. You're already, You don't need to be as vigorous as practice because everybody knows what they're doing. A lot of the times those games were the second meeting between divisional teams, so you weren't starting from scratch on a team. Now that they can flex Thursday, all the more reason to go back to that. You can guarantee they're good games. Just go back to November and December Thursday night football. Honestly, if they want to make up the games, here's what I would do. Because they can't play on Saturdays because of some antitrust thing from like the 60s. Thursdays and Saturdays from Thanksgiving on. Give me Sunday and Monday to start the season. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday from Thanksgiving on. I'd say Friday would be great, but there's another whole ridiculous antitrust thing in there.
They sneak Friday games in there occasionally, don't they?
They did last year for Christmas, and they had to get a whole like waiver from the government to do it. Stupid. It's all very stupid. It all goes way back to things that just don't make sense.
Yep. NFL is king, though. They put it on. People will watch.
Yes.
People will watch. But yeah, you mentioned looks like they're going to play in London again. They obviously did Germany last year. That could be Jaguars, Drake May versus Mac Jones, anybody in London. But yeah, it's a tough schedule opponent-wise. We'll obviously see how the weeks shake out and everything, but they got their money's worth for a fourth place schedule. They got kind of screwed with Joe Burrow getting hurt, so the Bengals are on the last place schedule. The Bears, they look like they're going to have a good year with Caleb Williams and some of the pieces they got offensively. The AFC South, you have the Texans. The Colts look good. The Jaguars, obviously, with Trevor Lawrence, and then the NFC West, the Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks. So it's a tough schedule, team wise. So hopefully they can get some help with how these kind of games shake out rest wise and all of that. But any last thoughts there on that? We'll obviously be our Thursday show. We'll go through most of that. That'll be what that's about. But any other last quick thoughts there?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, we'll wait till Thursday. We'll see.
Who do you want to open against?
Just open at home. I don't really care. Just open at home.
All right.
I don't think they will because they had like 5 home openers in a row, and then last year they were at home. I think they've opened once on the road in the last like 7 years, so they're due. But it's always fun.
Let's open in Tennessee because the last time we opened in Tennessee, our rookies Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower were awesome. So let's run that one back. But if you want to go to any of these games, use the Game Time app. We will quickly hear from them, and then we'll wrap up with a quick Boston Sports Minute.
Playoff time, there is nothing like it. I mean, the energy, the effort amps up a good 50 to 75% compared to the regular season. And that's why you want to go to Game Time, the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA. Now, they make getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. And here's the deal with the Game Time app. The prices of those tickets go down the closer you get to tip-off. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and you can also get the view from your seats with the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. So here's what you should do. You download the Game Time app and you browse it, and you can see that you can get Celtics and Bruins playoff tickets for less than $150. And again, the closer to Game Time you get, the lower the ticket price is. These are terrific deals for big-time postseason games. Last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute sports, concert, comedy, theater tickets. All in pricing. Toggling this feature shows that the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout and also the lowest price guarantee. Or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. So, take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets at Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS and get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
I heard Drake May and Jalen Polk used Game Time to go to the Bruins game last night. Down with the people.
They got in the front row, yeah.
Through the suite. We are going on the glass. If anyone hasn't seen it, go. I think the NHL, it was the NHL. The NHL tweeted out they were mic'd up for the game. It was a really awesome, like minute 30 clip of May and Polk at the Bruins game last night. But unfortunately, they saw a bad one because I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. I'll say the Bruins are not playing well offensively. They are the worst team than Florida on paper, on the ice. I mean, it's like 50 shots the last 3 games. They are playing horrible hockey, but they also got screwed big time last night. That was just a horrible call with a guy who, Sam Bennett, who shouldn't even been on the ice because he sucker punched Brad Marchand, and Department of Player Safety had nothing to say about that. And then he gets away with the cross-check, goalie interference. Like that was just horrible last night. And I see everyone saying, oh, they got outshot, they got outplayed, they didn't deserve to win the game. And I mean, they got outplayed, but Vancouver 2 hours later, they got outshot 42-18 and they still won the game. So they've been getting outplayed. They need to play better hockey, but it's frustrating when the game was right there. And maybe they could have tied up the series even while getting outplayed, and then the refs kind of dictated that, because you can't beat Florida and the refs. They're too much compiled for this version of this Bruins team.
Yeah, so I'll start with the shots. Look, I know people say, and Jim Montgomery and Don Sweeney both talked about, they're not a high volume shooting team. That was the one thing they were willing to say. They weren't willing to talk about the rest, but they're willing to talk about that. You don't have to be a volume shooting team. Nobody is asking for 50 shots on goal a game. In the regular season, the Bruins had a negative shot differential. The average shot differential was 28-30, but they got 28 shots. Nobody's asking for 50, but it can't be freaking 5 either.
Yeah.
Especially when the goalie and Bobrovsky can't see the puck right now. He's got an 880. They had 2 goals on 5 shots in the first period. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is a team. You have James Van Riemsdyk. You have Pat Marone. You have Charlie Coyle. Get the puck on net. Score dirty goals. I'm sorry, you're not a sniping team. That's not what they are. David Pastrnak can do his thing. Not everybody's David Pastrnak. So shoot the freaking puck. And the comments from the coach and the general manager tell me they don't think that part's an issue, when in reality, yes, they've had some issues clearing the puck from their defensive end. Yes, turnover's been a problem. The biggest issue is they're just not putting the puck on the net. And I don't think the people in charge, either they don't see it that way or they just don't care. As for the penalties, egregious officiating last night. That being said, so here's what I do with officiating. This is my personal rule.
Was this your one game?
So, yeah, you've heard me say this
I
before.
Thought of that immediately after that
if
game.
If you don't know, because I don't like to be the person that blames officials. I believe maybe not over the course of a game, but over the course of whatever, it all evens out, right? So I give myself one game across all sports calendar year to blame the officials. I usually save it for football season. After that game last night, I said I was going to sleep on it. Here's what I'm going to say, though, Brian. Even after the blown interference the blown interference review, it is a 3-2 game with 12:20 to go. That is a game that a team with a championship medal looks at and says, we're not going to let this disrupt us. We're not going to let this bother us. Let's go back. Let's tie this game up. Instead, they turtled. They did not get another shot on goal the rest of the night.
Even before that, they let that Barkov goal, they just let him walk right through them. That was the easiest thing of all time.
That's not on the officials.
That was the game-winning goal, yeah.
That's not my game. I'll sit here and say the officials were terrible. And they were. And the one thing I wish both Montgomery and Sweeney had gone after the rest. Take the fine.
Yes.
You've built this whole culture where, people want to come play for the Bruins and it's all about sacrifice and commitment to the team and all that. You won't take the fine for your players. It needs to be something a little more than that. That being said, and the one thing I think Sweeney was right about today is the officials should be held accountable. When there's a questionable call in an NFL game, Brian, we send Mike Reese down and he talks to the ref and we get a pool report. We get an explanation. The NHL doesn't do that. They should. Every other league does. Baseball makes an umpire available. The NBA does the same thing in terms of pool reports. The refs aren't available after every game, but if something comes up, somebody, a representative will go talk.
They have like the 2-minute report too.
Yeah,
right?
they have the last 2-minute report as well the next day. The NHL does none of this. And especially in the age of sports betting, it needs to be done. It needs to be done. That all being said, and the rest are terrible. They're not why the Bruins lost. They're not why the Bruins are down 3-1. They're down 3-1 because they refuse to shoot a freaking puck.
Yep.
You just can't have that.
I mean, even when they were up 2-0, you're like, they're getting outplayed right now. Like the Panthers are, and again, the Panthers are the better team on paper and on the ice, but the disconnect is what's concerning between Sweeney and Montgomery, saying, we're not a high volume shooting team. We like quality over quantity. And then Pat Maroon gets in front of the mic where, side note, why is Pat Maroon the one who, I love what Pat Maroon has brought to this team, but why is he the one standing in front of the media today, like answering for this? It should be a guy with a letter on his right. chest. I know Marchand can't right now, but you have Pat Maroon getting up there and saying, we need to put more pucks on net. So there's a disconnect there. It seems like, which is concerning, but yeah, I wish Monty got up there and looked for a fine. Instead, he said, I think the league handles this well. I didn't love that. I wish Pasta could call him out like he called Pasta out. And then I thought Sweeney was going to, go all scorched earth on us today when he schedules a press conference. But he kind of blasted the NHL without blasting the NHL and getting a fine. But it's frustrating. But 3-1. Doesn't look good, but who knows? Hockey is hockey. Maybe Jeremy Swayman can steal you 3 more games here and absolutely stand on his head. But Celtics up 2-1. Donovan Mitchell out for the Cavs tonight. That should just be 3-1. Easy work for them.
It should be, but I'll say this. I just did this. I feel like it's the same problem and the complete opposite problem with the Bruins and the Celtics. Now, the Celtics are a better team. They're playing lesser opponents. So this is more of a down the road projecting kind of thing than an immediate thing. But neither one of them will make in-game adjustments. Neither one of them. They both refuse. They go in with the game plan. They bang their head against the wall. For the Bruins, they refuse to shoot. For the Celtics, it's too much shooting. It's too much. Just go down, jack up a 3. They need to attack the basket. Give me pick and rolls. When I think what changed in game 3, and they have made game-to-game adjustments, which the Bruins haven't done, there was more of an emphasis, especially from Jason Tatum, of getting to the basket, whether that was off the ball, drive and kick, whether that was putting his back to the basket and then working off of that. He had the one really nice spin move against Karis LeVert. It needs to be more than 3. The 3-pointer can be your main weapon, and that's all well and good. And when the Celtics have it going, they are unbeatable. But and that will beat most of the teams in this league, but not all. When you get to Denver, when you get to Minnesota, whoever it is in the final, you are going to need a plan B. You are going to need a left jab to complement the right hook. And it's a lot. I think with Porzingis, it's easier because they can run the pick and roll with him. And he is such an excellent back to the basket player. And it was an issue. This whole thing of not having a plan B didn't feel like as much of an issue this year as it did in the past. And Porzingis was a big part of that. We'll see when he comes back. Hopefully they lock this thing up tonight. If they do that, they could get, or lock this thing up Wednesday. If they do that, they could get about a week off because, boy, that Knicks Pacers series feels like it's going 7. We know it's going at least 6. They got to have plan B. That being said, it was really good to see Jason Tatum get going in game 3. I think he needed that. I think the team needed that. Let's see if he can keep it going tonight. Do not let up because Donovan Mitchell is out.
Yes.
Do not let up. They should win by 30 tonight. Break the spirits of the Cavs heading back to Boston. Get this thing done in 5. Get that rest. And then we could start talking about when Kristaps Porzingis comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about it before the playoffs started. Just wrap these up as quickly as possible, especially now that Kristaps is hurt. Just wrap these up, get as much rest. Because some of those Western Conference, like even now, the Nuggets are getting tested by the Timberwolves. That might go 7, obviously going 6. But, those teams are going to, beat each other up over this path. So as much rest as you can get, you need it. So wrap this up, keep your foot on your gas, even without Donovan Mitchell in the lineup, and just blow them out again. Just blow them out. They're the Cavs without Jared Allen, without Donovan Mitchell. Just blow them out. But
yeah,
we can wrap it up there. We will get everyone on their way to go watch that C's game. I think it's 7:00, right? So, I mean, 7:15 tip or 7:20 tip, whatever. But we will be back on Thursday. We will have a schedule to break down and any other Patriots news that comes across our desk in the meantime. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you do know when we go live. You can also follow Alex on Twitter at Real Alex Barth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read his Patriots and Celtics written coverage. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines, and head over to patspulpit.com to read my written work over there as well. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in tonight, and we will see you guys later this week.